Welcome to the 9th episode of the My Vision Born Show on the Abdel Russell Experience podcast. On the previous episode, episode 8, I discussed how I went through a turbulent time that involved the divorce and the housing market bubble bursting while me and my ex-wife had 3 properties on hand. So needless to say, since my life turned upside down and everything was in shambles, I figured the best thing to do was to take the opportunity and move back to New York, Brooklyn, New York, and start my life all over again. And what better way to welcome me back home than to have someone enter my car, gut it out. I was left with no other option but to sell. Wow, that was a great way to start my life all over again back home in the city. But I was still very optimistic. As I mentioned in episode 8, I had Hitch, the movie with Will Smith, on repeat, and there was just something about that movie that put a battery in my back and kept me focused on the new life and journey that was ahead of me. I can't say everything was sad. I literally felt the new energy and had a new spirit and determination to recreate my life in the image that I wanted. Maybe it was because I was fresh from a divorce and I was now single, living back in New York City, or maybe it was because I landed an awesome paying job at Taylor Loft on 86th and 3rd in New York as a manager helping to run that multi-million-dollar store. I had nothing to complain about. I was making $55,000 to $60,000 a year in 2008, and at that point in time, that was the most money I made in retail as a manager, but I didn't realize how great it was until conversations had with some people from my graduating high school class who were making close to that, or some was making less, and they had a degree. Now, if you've been keeping up with the My Vision Born show on the Abdel Russell Experience podcast, you are well aware of how the specter of not finishing or continuing consistently my college career had on me. It almost made me depressed because maybe it's from my generation, but everyone wanted to win. Everyone wanted to be somebody, and continuing my college education was something that haunted me. But I found some comfort knowing that at least I was not behind the 8 ball in how much money I was making. Don't think that the money kept me from wanting to finish off my college career, because it sure didn't. As you know by now, ambition is something that maybe was a secret ingredient in the generation of people from my era. So in my subconscious, I was still an underdog as far as my scholastic activities was concerned. But my paper was straight and my vision was clear. I was still excited about the opportunity to recreate my life in the idea and the image that I wanted. Not to mention my experience seeing and witnessing MVB Entertainment's effect and impact on Central Florida and what I could possibly do in the streets of New York City. I was back again in full dream mode. My personal goals and my entrepreneurial vision rekindled the flame and reignited my ambition and gave me a new purpose in this new life that I was at the beginning of creating. I consider moments like these the magic of America. We're a second-generation immigrant from the Caribbean who chased the American dream, got a taste of it when he moved to Central Florida, bought a house, got married, new car, a job in corporate America, only to have everything turned upside down, returned back home, and started all over again, and ended up with his highest paying retail management job ever. Did I mention while all this was happening, the President of the United States of America was a black guy? Even though at this point I understand that his policies and certain things that he did while he was in office, I totally disagree with. But if you've been listening to the My Vision Born show on the Abdel Russell Experience podcast, you know the fondness I have for the image and what Barack Obama represented to black people was exceptional. For that, I thank him. But his choices and policies and some of his initiatives, I totally disagree with on a moral and fundamental level. But this is what makes the United States of America great. You get a little bit of what you want, gotta tolerate some of what you don't want, make the best of it, and move on with your life. And while I was cheering on a Democratic president, it did not bring me back to the left. In fact, it drove me further to the right. And the reason for that is quite simple. Never in my immigrant lifetime would I ever expect to see a president of these United States of America being black. And not only was he a black guy, this guy had swag, he had charisma, he was intelligent, well-spoken, had a beautiful family. It was almost too good to be true. Obama checked all the boxes. I mean, you gotta be kidding me if anyone could find one blemish in this guy's total package and what he represented. His policies, as I said, that's another story. But if there was gonna be a first black president of the United States of America, Obama was the perfect fit. Add this moment to the list of things that already impressed me with living in the United United States of America. And this is why it pushed me even further to the right. No longer did I want to hear anything about racism, even though it still exists. But we're not talking about 1945 or 1955. We're talking about 2008. If people cannot see the difference in where this country is at 40 to 50 to 60 years ago to current time, then they just blatantly don't want to come face to face with the truth. The United States of America is one of the greatest countries ever. And in 2008, Barack Obama put the America is racist talk on life support. I mean, do you realize that the majority of people in this country are white? So it takes the white population and the white vote for any president to be elected, which means a majority of whites voted for Obama. Let that fact sink into your psyche for a while. So you can pretty much imagine how I felt when I believe the representative's name was Joe Wilson during 2009 when he, well, first let me identify him. I believe he was a member of the House of Republican Policy Committee, and I think he was a Republican whip as well. And in September 2009, he interrupted a speech by Obama when Obama was giving a speech to a joint session of Congress, and he shouted out, "You lie." When he did this, I swear my blood began to boil, because I honestly, when Obama won the election, I felt two things. I felt fear and I felt excitement. Excitement because I wasn't expecting that, but fear because I just didn't want anything bad happening to this guy, and I honestly thought that a race war was going to start, but my sentiments were proving wrong. But when Joe Wilson and also Mitch McConnell, who famously said he's going to block everything Obama does for the next 2 years, I started to say to myself, are the Republicans racist? Now, mind you, I kind of dismissed that a while back, because not only was the Republican Party the party that fought to end slavery, but the Republican Party as well had many other positive historical facts that had to do with black people. So after those two things and many other things happened, I began to look deeper into why some of the Republicans were behaving and acting that way to Obama. Was it because he was black, or was it because of something else? And this is what led me into looking deeper into some of Obama's policies, and why I say I morally and fundamentally disagree with a lot of his policies. I'll save the long list of policies that Obama put in place, of which I like and some of which that I don't like. For now, I just want to continue painting the picture of what my experience, my continued experience in the United States of America was during 2008 and basically after I left Central Florida. I was completely conflicted on President Obama. One, obviously, there was a black president of the United States of America that had great character, was intelligent, had a beautiful family, just had the total package. But on the other hand, his policies on certain things didn't sit well with me. This taught me one major lesson. I realized that the majority of black people in the United States of America don't really vote based on policies, nor do they vote based upon how they think the person or the politician will govern. From what I've seen, most black people vote on how the candidate makes them feel, which means the majority of black people in the United States vote based on emotion. And if there's one thing that I've learned as a second-generation immigrant from the Caribbean who is black and by default grew up as a Democrat, the Democratic Party, without a doubt, prey on people's emotion, in particular, black people. Just so that I give some sort of clarity, when I use the word black people, I think I need to differentiate between the types of black people, because putting us all in one box is not only unfair, it doesn't make any sense. In the United States of America, black people are made up of several different nationalities, or could be. You have Caribbean blacks, you have African blacks who are from the continent of Africa, and you have blacks from around the world. Finally, you have black Americans, who are the black people who were born here. Please learn to differentiate between those groups, because we all have different cultures, different food, different morals, different ways of thinking, and in particular, different political views. But the one thing that we all share and have in common is we are Americans. But I digress. Hopefully, the black American population will start to look at policy, start to look at how a potential political candidate would govern, and face facts like that. That'll help us make smarter decisions when we're electing politicians to office. Hopefully, one day we will stop selling our votes for candidates who put hot sauce in purses or who wash collard greens in bathtubs. Oh my God, that is disgusting. I'll never forget that. But as I said, this is the United States of America. You get some of what you want, and you have to tolerate some of what you don't want. It's called freedom. You're free to believe that you're a cat, a dog, or a squirrel, and I'm free to believe that you're not. With that being said, thank you for tuning in to the 9th episode of the My Vision Born Show on the Abdel Russell Experience podcast. Never forget that you are blessed, and please enjoy your freedoms. I'm out. Peace.